Entrepreneurs aren't born, they're brewed. You are now listening to the Entrepreneur Podcast with your host, Adam McChesney. Let's grow!
Welcome to the Entrepreneur Podcast. I am your host, Adam McChesney, and I want to thank you for being here. We are live today from Half Coast Studios here in St. Louis, Missouri. Thank you to Half Coast for this amazing setup and for sponsoring the show. If you're looking to start your podcast or take your current one to the next level, then you need to check these guys out. Contact them today for a free consultation. If you're listening, please be sure to subscribe to the show and leave us a 5-star review on Apple and Spotify. We would love for you to share this on social media by tagging me, and this way we can get this incredible content out to more people. Today's guest is someone in my network of Apex and the Champion Circle that I've gotten to know really well over the past few months. He's done a phenomenal job in building a culture within his company through core values while creating a dominant brand in South Carolina. He's consistently pouring into other entrepreneurs and coaching them to new levels and has his own podcast called Never Stop Building. My guest today is Sam Kaufman. He is the owner of On the Level Construction. Sam, welcome to the show.
What's up, man? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man, it's been a long time coming. I know, we were connecting, going back and forth in messages, trying to get something on the books. I was almost going to come and, actually physically be on your podcast a couple months ago, but we'll have to make that happen. South Carolina is a great place, and really appreciate you coming on today, man.
Yeah, dude, thanks for having me. Yeah, and if by back and forth you mean I just kept getting swamped and taking a week and a half to respond to a message, we went back and forth. That's a decent way to put it. So I appreciate your patience, and I appreciate you having me on here, dude.
Of course, man. Yeah, really excited for this episode. You know, you've been crushing it over the past couple of months, and excited to dig into your entrepreneurial journey because I know you have a lot of great insights. You do quite a bit, and it's really exciting to see. So for those of you that, whether it's your first time listening or you've listened to episodes before, we like to compare the entrepreneurial journey to that of the beer brewing process. And that's why we got the Entrebrewer process. So we're going to go through a couple different, aspects of the entrepreneur's journey and kind of dig into Sam's story here. So the first thing that we want to obviously get to know is you a little bit better, Sam. So as far as the history goes within a beer, obviously every great beer has a reason behind why it's getting brewed. Give us a little bit of background on who you are, where you come from, and what you do.
Sure. Yeah. So, I'm Sam Kaufman, and who I am, I'm husband, father of two, leader of men and women, coach, construction company owner, all that awesome sounding stuff. And in all reality, dude, I'm a man trying to be a better version of myself today than I was yesterday. That's real. All that stuff really just combines to say, I'm just trying to be better today than I was yesterday. And so, yeah, as far as the entrepreneurial journey goes, I've been like this my whole life, I guess I would say. And like from a little kid, and I'll tell you, so for me, being an entrepreneur has everything to do with freedom. And whether you equate that to finances, or you equate that to time, or you equate that to where you work or how you work or who your clients are. It doesn't really matter, whatever that means to you. But to me, I believe the spark for entrepreneurial journeys always comes from some moment of, I'm not as free as I want to be. And so I remember as a little kid, now, I didn't grow up in poverty or anything crazy like that, but I grew up in a very wealthy town in New Jersey. And I was not the very wealthy kid. In fact, I was not in any way, wealth was not even a part of the equation. We were very typical middle class, when my dad had a job, and lower middle class when he didn't. And so I learned early that if I wanted to do things, have things, be things, I had to go and earn some money. I also learned early, I loved being in control of my money earning. And what I mean by that is, as a kid, my businesses were, winter was snow shoveling. I was a door knocking, snow shoveling salesman. When I was 11, I figured out that people would pay X amount per driveway. You shovel their car out, and you could hit a lot of doors and make a lot of cash. I remember I made $300 one Saturday at 12 years old with my buddy, and it was over. And so that progressed. And as I got older, babysitting, dog walking, snow shoveling, I got a job. I was always hustling, for lack of a better term. Now, that energy can be put in many different directions. So there was a point in my life where I was not on a good path, but I was still entrepreneurial. So there's a bunch of arrest records to go down that road. My life is great today. I turned my life around, all that great stuff. But my entrepreneurial journey started a long time ago. And in my early 20s, I had to get my life back together from a 5 or 6 year stint of tearing it apart. And so I got jobs, and I was grateful to have jobs at that point in my life. But I wasn't grateful to have no freedom. And so I really didn't have this big plan. To be honest, when I got my life back together, I didn't have these big plans to be this business owner, coach, all these great things. I just wanted to do better. I just wanted to do better for the kids I was raising. I wanted to do better for myself here and there. And I had an opportunity at the company I was working for at the time. I was like 23 or 24 years old, and I was like running this dude's company. And I had asked this guy if he would give me a raise. I was getting paid for half the time I was working. So I was doing jobs. I was a cabinet installer. That's what I got paid for. Every time I screwed a box to a wall, I got money. But I was doing sales, and I was leading people, and I was training people. And I've always been that guy. I'm the oldest of 3 boys. Like, I've always been the leader, you know what I mean? Like, that's and I was leading and training and hiring and selling. And so I'd get paid for maybe 3 days out of the week and not get paid for the other 3 because I was only getting paid by the job. And I went to this guy and I said, "Hey, we have this great relationship and I do really well for you. And, would you put me on like a salary, maybe $1,000 a week or something?" And that to me at the time, that was a lot of money. Like, I'd have loved to be making $1,000 a week for my family. And that was cool. And that dude laughed at me and said that salaries were for special kind of people. Let me tell you something. I'm grateful today that I'm not that kind of person, right? Salaries are for special kind of people. And I just wasn't there. And that was the moment that the switch went off in my head. And I shit you not. Am I allowed to cuss on this podcast?
Oh yeah, you're good.
Cool. All right, cool. So I shit you not. I'll do it twice just to do it now. That moment, something switched in my head. And I decided right then and there, I was never going to let another human being control my income. Not if I was going to work my ass off. I have a work ethic like we all do. Everybody I imagine most people listening to this, your demographic is entrepreneurs. Work ethic's not our problem. Now, focus might be, and discipline might be, and knowing what we're supposed to do while we're working hard might be, but the work ethic is not. I just decided in that very moment, I said, I'm going to have this work ethic and I'm going to kill myself and I'm going to have this drive. I'm never doing it for somebody else ever again. And I put in a 30 days notice and I started my own cabinet installation business. That was the kickoff to the whole journey 6.5 years ago.
Wow, that's pretty incredible. There's a lot of things to unpack there, but I know that in the very beginning you mentioned just always trying to create that better version, always looking for more, always knowing that there's more out there, and you can tell in everything that you do. Obviously, I know you pretty well now from social media and being around you, but you're just passionate about all the things that you spend time and energy on, which is really cool. And it's always awesome to see and hear about a specific time that really flipped the switch. And obviously that happened when you were working for that other company. And that's really cool that it kind of got to that part. So as far as the next step that we like to take a look at here in the entrepreneur process is the ingredients. So within great beers are made from great ingredients. What are 3 things that have made you successful in your journey over the last 6.5+ years?
Wow. 3 things that have made me successful. I would probably have to say the very first thing, and I'll go back to maybe work ethic is not the right. I'm willing to do whatever it takes to do, not whatever it takes to achieve your goals. I'm willing to do whatever it takes to get to where I have decided I want to get to. Right. Because I see a lot of people comparing themselves to other people, especially people they look up to and going, I got to match that person's schedule, or I got to match that person's income, or I got to match that person's business model in order to be like them. Well, dude, I don't want to be like them. I want to be like me. I just want to be the best version of myself. The best version of me is better than the best version of that guy anyway. And so, and now I don't, that's just my own little confidence booster. Right. But that's really like what I have to tell myself. And so I'm willing to do whatever it takes to get to what I decided I'm going to get to is probably the first thing. The second thing is I am self-education has been huge this entire journey for me. And so like I see the stack of books on your desk, and I remember like reading when I started to read. I wasn't a reader, man. I barely graduated high school. Like, no joke, barely graduated high school. I'm not a college graduate. I don't have any of that good stuff. When I started reading, after I started my business, when I started educating myself, things changed quickly. Now, application, right? The education part and the I'm willing to do what it takes have to go hand in hand, because you could read all the books in the world and still not get shit done. But when you read and apply, life changes. And the third thing, quite honestly, is there's been 1,000 moments over the last 6.5 years that all logic and evidence would have shown that quitting would have been a good idea. Stopping would have been smart to most people. Just slowing down, just kind of giving it up. It's hard. I'm broke right now. This doesn't make sense. I don't want to, I'm on, day 33, no day off. I'm not getting home. There was a million times where quitting was the logical decision. And I'm just too fucking stubborn, bro. I just won't do it. If I decided, and that's why I'm real careful about what I agree to, because I know that once the agreement's been made in my head, it has to happen. And so I'm real protective over what I say. I don't know, maybe a lot, because once I say yes, it's over. And so I would probably say that discipline, commitment, and education have been my want to continue to learn would be the three big things.
That's amazing and incredible and very powerful. And hearing the agreement part of that is that mindset shift is when you say yes and you commit, like you're all in. And even though people will say that a lot of times, like it is pretty rare today to have people just have that mindset. People oftentimes say yes when they shouldn't say yes. And it's a big problem. So it's really cool to see that you've done a great job in protecting your time, your energy, and things like that. I have struggles trying to do that sometimes because I want to be everything for everyone and things like that. So it's really cool. Was there a particular time, or have you guys always been that way since you've been an entrepreneur? Or was there a specific time where you're like, okay, I need to just commit to everything that I can do and weed out the stuff that I can't?
No, I've always been big on following through on my commitments. Where I went wrong though was I was a yes man to everything and everybody around me. And so I would say yes to all the customer requests, and I would say yes to my wife constantly, and I would say yes to my kids, and I would say yes to my friends, and I would say yes to my mentees, and I would say yes, yes, yes. But what was really happening was when I thought I was a committed individual, I was actually a liar. I was a dishonest person because I was agreeing to things that I could not follow through on. I had the best intentions in the world, but I had no calendar and no structure to back it up. Yes, I will be there on Saturday. Absolutely, I can do that. Well, I got plans with my wife and my daughter, and I didn't even remember because it's not on my calendar. Well, now who am I letting down? And if you're an entrepreneur, I imagine that you know what it's like to let your wife and kids down 80% of the time and your customers 20. Well, your wife and kids 80, you 19, and then your customers 1% of the time. It's always customer first. It's always client first, right? And the big shift was, yeah, absolutely. I've always been committed, but I used to be dishonest. And what changed was now, for instance, doing 75 hard. Now, this is just a commitment to myself, but I'm on day 9 of 75 hard. And when I did it, wasn't a weight loss. I did it to prepare for an opportunity. But when I looked at the app, I don't think about it as in tomorrow's going to be tough. I thought to myself, it's a 75-day commitment. It's not a 1-day commitment. It's not a 2-day commitment. I said 75 days. You down? I said, screw it. I'm in. I hit go, and that's it. It's a 75-day commitment, period. Not 74, not 63. I looked through the whole calendar. Am I good? Yeah, I'm good. Let's go. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it makes perfect sense. And I really like how you made the transition and the correlation between like being committed and then having all the intentions in the beginning, but thinking it was, thinking it could happen when it just really wasn't physically possible. And so now that shift has obviously paid off for you to be able to, take things to where you have. And obviously I've been following your 75 hard journey. So that's amazing, man. Super proud of you for that, man. So it's really cool, man. So the next aspect of where we're going with this is obviously the brewing process in general. Great beer doesn't happen overnight. So we've kind of talked about in detail some of the things along your journey, but Give us kind of some of the ups and then some of the downs of your journey and what you've been able to do to kind of overcome and then obviously get to where you're at today because of it.
Sure. Yeah. So, I started the business and it was just me and another guy, and I was installer, full-time install. I started the business with the intention of installing full-time, but getting paid 5 or 6 times what I was making working for someone else. And that's how it started. And it was really good. Now I'm a couple of kickers here for any new business owners listening. I was making more money than I had ever seen in my life, paying myself $500 a week. I was writing myself a check every week for $500. I knew that I wanted to hire an employee, and I wouldn't hire my first employee until I had his entire year's salary in cash in the company checking account. When I hit that number, now I'm not suggesting that necessarily. There's probably faster and better ways to grow. All I'm saying is for 12 months, I wrote myself a $500 check. I had staff making more than me. I had everybody made more than me. I was just very frugal with my dollars. So anyway, starting the business, and the biggest ups in the beginning and still to this day are the people. What I fell in love with as a business owner was being a leader. I fell in love with being a leader more than being a business owner. Being a business owner blows most of the time. Let me tell you something right now. Now, being an entrepreneur, being a CEO, these are different things. Being a business owner has a lot of suck to it. There's a lot of shit you got to deal with, that we don't talk about all the time. I love the highlight reel on the internet, but the owner part is tough, man. It ain't for everybody. So I fell in love with the people. And so we grew fast. And the first 3 years we were in business, I don't want to say it was all ups, because it wasn't. We had competitors vandalizing kitchens that we put in. We had all kinds of struggles, but it was almost like we were given a gift the first 3 years in business. We just grew year over year, exponential, 100+% growth as a labor only company. It was unheard of. We were just killing it, taking over the area. So things were really good. And so I had an interesting perspective on what growth looked like, and almost like, well, I'm sort of invincible. So really whatever I do is, I guess, a great decision, right? Not really accounting for the fact that the market was just demanding it. Not really accounting for the fact that there was a few things I missed. So after year 3, I decided we're going to expand. And so I'm planning on opening up another branch 2 hours away. At one point I had 2 cities locked down 2 hours away from each other. We were killing it. And then we weren't. And so I had this giant client down in the other city who, and this is for anybody too, this was my first experience with a business mentor. This guy offered to mentor me and ended up taking advantage of our company to the tune of a 6-figure plus invoice, and then told us to kick rocks. So I put this second branch. I branched. The mistake I made was instead of spreading until we physically couldn't handle work that far away anymore, I just planted. That was my big mistake. I just decided that I could replicate, because I'm a process guy. I'm a process, procedure, core value guy. I'm an SOP freak. So I was like, this will work no matter where I am. It didn't. The market was different. The demographic was different. The work service was different. Everything was different. We got screwed, and I thought I was going to lose the business. I was not prepared. I had to shut that down. I had to lay 6 people off or more. I don't even remember how many people we had full time down there. And I had to walk through a massive failure, the biggest to my career at that point. And the bill was so massive. We had diverted all of our other branch attention to them for 2 months, because we were helping. I was Mr. Help, Mr. Fix It, Mr. I got you, Mr. I want all the attention for being the best guy, the best company, I want to be the best. And in turn, in that scenario, what I did by my desperate attempt to be looked at as the best, I didn't perform at my best. And that was one of the biggest takeaways for me in that moment was my best is protecting my team, not looking good to other people. My best is protecting my finances and my time and my family. There's not a customer on the planet whose perspective of me is more important than paying my mortgage and putting food on my table. Not one. And at that time, I didn't think that way. I thought that if I did the right thing, all the right things would happen. And sometimes doing the right thing is saying, fuck off. You're done. You're cut off. Sometimes it is. As shitty as it sounds, it is. And so coming out of that was this big transformation for me as an owner, an individual, and a leader, parent, husband, everything, because I never thought I was about to lose everything. And then I was almost about to lose everything. And that's when started the journey of reaching out, seeking help, and my own coaches. And I had been mentoring people and helping people, and I realized I didn't have anybody to help me. The one guy that offered to help me robbed me straight up. And I was like, there's got to be a better way. And so the last 2 years, the ups, it's been a bit of a roller coaster. We went on a massive growth trajectory, but I did it right. I did it strategically and I planned it. And so even you do it strategically and plan it, man, it's a massive roller coaster. There's been financial ups and downs, risks, this, that, and the other thing. But the biggest up right now is, to be quite honest with you, what I see right now on a day-to-day basis is my team operating at the highest level they can operate and enjoying their day-to-day work life. And we're growing. So I've checked all the necessary boxes, and I'm a firm believer that the financial success will be a symptom and result of my ability to lead the team to provide the result. I'm not in control of the results right now. All I'm in control of is providing the necessary team leadership for them to achieve the results. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's extremely powerful when you do it that way as well, because I see in the things that you post and the text messages and things that people are sharing within your team or customers and things like that. And you can just see the electricity and you can see how excited people are to be a part of your company and your brand and living your core values and missions. And that's the cool part about being the business owner, where it mostly sucks, because you're able to step into a leader position. You're able to do what makes you happy. And you guys have definitely been through a roller coaster for sure. So that's, man, it's really powerful and exciting to see.
Yeah. I appreciate your feedback. Yeah, it is. No, it is. And it is electric. And look, for anybody listening, like this business that Adam's referring to with the texts and the messages, it's a kitchen and bath renovation company and a flooring retail store. Like, if you're out there, like, for all intents and purposes, we don't even do anything that cool. We're in contracting. And I say that just to say, it doesn't matter what you sell. You have a responsibility to build a culture like that. And that was one of the big misconceptions when I started a construction company was, well, it's a construction company, so I'll do the best I can. No, man, fuck that. Every company needs a culture, and these are still human beings. It doesn't matter what you sell. You're leading human beings. And when that's the priority, when that's number one, everything else is honestly just incredible.
Yeah, absolutely. No, culture is king, and when done correctly is amazing. It's exponential what it can do for the growth of the business. As we kind of transition here into the fourth out of the fifth point, as far as the entrepreneur process goes, we have the fermentation and conditioning. So this is the part where within the beer, you kind of see what the beer tastes like and figure out what needs to be changed in order to get better for the final result. What is the biggest lesson that you have learned that you would share with someone that's an entrepreneur looking to save them years worth of mistakes?
I would probably say, don't ever take your focus off of your relationships. To be quite honest, it is so easy to start putting relationships. I'm not saying results don't matter. They do. Results are whether or not you stay in business. I have just found that when relationships stay the priority at all times, the results just speak for themselves. And so there's been many times in my entrepreneurial career, my business career, where I got nervous about the results. And so I stopped putting the effort into the relationships to try to control the results. The only thing that controls results is healthy relationships. So
that's a great piece of advice. And yeah, I think we can definitely get sidetracked at times if we're not hitting our numbers or we're thinking we're not living up to a certain expectation, but relationships are always going to be there regardless. And so investing in those, putting time and energy into those, I mean, it's very powerful as well. The last and fifth piece here to this entrepreneur process is the distribution. So obviously within beer, taking that to the market and selling it, you got a lot of exciting things going on, your business, your podcasts, coaching, all that stuff. What is next for Sam and the years to come ahead?
Look, man, I'm not a huge multi-year out kind of planner. I'm a lot of intuition and gut kind of guy, but for the near future, I am going to be, my focus is going to be the following. I will be propping up leadership at the construction company, and I will be putting in some more time and energy into coaching and helping other business owners. I'm gonna leave it at that. I'll give you more. I'll give you more when I can give you more, but I'm gonna leave it at that. Right now, my goal is to be a leader creator, and I'm working through figuring out how to make most of my time creating more leaders, because I think that this world and this country is in desperate need of more leadership. So that's where I'm at.
I love it, man. I love the title, leader creator. That's a perfect fit for you, man. Well, cool. Well, we certainly really appreciate you coming on the Entrepreneur Podcast today. Any last pieces of advice before we get into things like show notes and where people can find you that you'd like to leave with the audience?
No, man, my only piece of advice is listen to Adam's podcast regularly. This is an awesome setup. I love what you're doing here. No, I have nothing else. That's it.
Well, cool, man. Well, I certainly appreciate you coming on. It was a jam-packed episode. I knew some of the stuff about you. I knew some of the stuff, just about the value that you bring, but really opened my eyes to a lot of things as well. So certainly appreciate you coming on. If you can let the audience know, we'll have everything in the show notes, but where can they get a hold of you and find you on social media and the internet?
Facebook and Instagram, both are Sam Kaufman Official. You can DM me. I'm not nearly popular or famous enough to ignore your DMs. I will get busy for a week and have to get back to you, but you're not being ignored. And that's it. That's the easiest way to find me, Facebook and Instagram. And the podcast, neverstopbuildingpodcast.com. That's kind of my platform I share very openly on the podcast. So,
yeah, awesome, man. We'll certainly appreciate you coming on, and thanks again to our audience. We want to thank you for tuning in to the podcast. Please be sure to subscribe, download, and share our content. Leaving a 5-star review goes a long way. Thank you again to Half Coast Studios. If you're in St. Louis and looking to start a podcast, then you seriously need to come check out what they have going on here. And we'll see you all next week. Remember, entrepreneurs aren't born, they are brewed.
I'm an entrepreneur. Entrepreneurs aren't born, they're brewed. Thank you for listening to Entrepreneur Podcast with your host, Adam McChesney. Let's